Hello and welcome to the trade setup. In this video, we are looking at Centene. It is time for another update. And even though this stock doesn't usually perform too well, not a lot of people are interested in it, I decided to provide anyone who is interested this opportunity. Now, we have unintentionally happened to do this in 3 tiers, right? We have done a member video right before we formed this correction and extension to lower prices, actually looking for exactly this to happen. We were looking for one more low in this structure for this as a potential larger 1-2 setup. This would have marked the potential bottom for this correction. We highlighted here some structural support around $33, and we have been looking to form a reversal potentially to quite higher prices from this region. Then for our newsletter, which by the way is completely free and anyone would have had access to this wasn't gatekept, we provided this as an opportunity right before we bottomed, right? Last Sunday, on the 29th of March, we sent out our newsletter, we provided this opportunity, we highlighted a potential bottom to be in place, and we have since pushed to higher prices, and anyone who would have used this information we provided would currently be in profit. Now, we will go through the larger time frame, provide the full context, and then come back to discuss our current expectations from this structure and what you can actually look out for. So, on this chart, we have been tracking a pretty simple structure. We will try to also keep this video brief thanks to that. So we have a larger impulse, we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. This is our primary interpretation, and within this wave 4, we possibly have a bottom in place. There is a count that can allow such an outcome, and we have even broken some levels of resistance that would have allowed an even more bearish structure. But currently, we have pushed into the 38.2% retracement. We have been covering this ever since we had this large drop. We did highlight as we were extending lower and lower. We provided a very early signal that the wave 3 itself, at the very least, would likely be complete, and we were looking for the larger wave 4 correction. We had these resistance levels up to around $26, something like that. I do not remember exactly, but it was into the very last extensions. So, we have broken the internal area of resistance for an impulse within this wave C, and now we have the yellow interpretation representing the possibility of an extension to lower prices within this structure. I probably prefer at this point to actually see a breakout, but I would also like to see some additional signals, some additional confirmations that this would be the case by breaking the $51.6 level. So we are currently also tracking this wave 4 area of resistance in parallel. This still remains an option, but even within this wave 4, I would actually prefer to form one more high, even if we do not break this area of resistance. But since we have this initial 5-wave move to the upside we have been tracking, we can look for a larger extension even, or at the very least, a reset of the current wave 4 top. I cannot guarantee this to be the case. It's definitely not the cleanest, not the perfect structure. It is, in the best case scenario, a leading diagonal, but even then, we have a potential initial 5-wave move to the upside. We have the area of support where we know clearly that if we get a sustained break below $28.8, we would likely see a failure of extensions to higher prices, and we have formed a 3-wave correction. We were deep within this area of support, and the risk-reward ratio was extremely favorable, right? If you bought, for example, within structural support, where we did consider a potential reversal could form from this area around $33. This is what we highlighted in the member video. You would be looking at a risk of about, let's say, 15%. Something like that if you placed your stop loss significantly below the last level of support, even below this structural support we have in this region, right? Potential upside, well, we will be discussing about that in a moment. But remember, 15% at the most. Now, let's say you bought exactly when we provided the newsletter, this would have been around $32. Well, down to $28, you would have been looking at 13% at most, let's say. Now, at this point, anyone who would have participated in this opportunity would be in profit currently, right? Now, let's talk extensions. And in the blue scenario, we are tracking this as a larger wave 3. We would be looking for the ideal target to be at the 138.2% extension of the wave 1. At the very least, if you bought around the $33 level, we could be looking at a potential 130% in profit. Yeah, this is like what? A nearly 1-to-9 risk-reward ratio? Quite interesting, quite promising. And then even in the case of this not building a larger impulse, we could be looking still at the 100% extension to be the ideal target for the wave C. That would be around 80% in potential profit, right? Let's say we do not build a wave 3, but we build a wave C that gets to the ideal target. Of course, I cannot provide a guarantee that this will work out, but even in the case where we only get a reset within this wave 4, we would be looking to push possibly into the 78.6% extension. Well, in this case, we would be looking at around 58% in profit, right? This is the potential from the structural support level we provided. Even in this scenario, you would still be looking at a risk-reward better than 1-to-3, right? This is a nearly 1-to-4 risk-reward ratio. This is extremely positive. With such risk-reward ratios, you can have below 30% win rate and still be a profitable trader, a profitable investor. Now, at this point, we have, of course, pushed out from these levels where we have provided the buy opportunity. Technically, we are still within the area of support. Technically, this is still within a buy opportunity. But of course, we are looking for the next opportunity, for the confirmation that this structure is going to see the breakout. How do we identify that? Well, I would be looking for the initial 5-wave move to the upside. And based on this structure, we do not have the most clear pattern, that is for sure. I would need to go within a smaller time frame, and I can even consider to track this as a potential impulse actually. I could look at something like a 1-2, 1-2, and this could work out as a wave 3, and then I would probably ideally see a couple of 4-5 patterns before considering a more clear wave 1 to have a top in place. I cannot guarantee this is how the structure will work out, especially within such a small time frame, as those do happen to be quite fragile. Now, if you really want to be 100% safe, you could already be placing a stop loss in profit within this area. And this would rather have to be under the assumption that we would have something like a 1-2 setup in this area. I am personally not going to change this. I am still going to allow this to have a larger correction, but be mindful that this white structure is quite complete, right? This is an ABC pattern, really doesn't need any additional lows. So if we do indeed extend to lower prices, there is a good chance something significantly more bearish could be going on. But currently, I do not have a clear enough of a structure, and I'm personally still willing to allow a larger correction, a deeper retracement within this wave 2 in blue, as I prefer to trade the levels, not the count. In the case of this white structure, we could consider the wave 5 to have bottomed, but I cannot rule out the possibility of an extension within something more bearish, where I would track the 78.6% retracement for this movement to the downside. In this scenario, we can notice we nearly pushed into this last level of resistance. Doesn't matter if we pushed exactly or not, the idea is we have not broken this level. This wave itself could technically still extend. There are a number of options, and what I would like to see is here a break above the $37 level, the wave 4 swing high. This would be pretty useful in determining that at least this as an internal wave is complete, and we can track larger resistance levels. In addition to that, we will also dismiss any possibility of a larger impulse being in formation by pushing into the $36 level. Yeah, this technically possible wave 1 swing low, although I do not really like that interpretation in any case, since this works much better as a 3-wave pattern. Now, there are many levels of resistance we could be tracking. We could look even internally for a larger ABC pattern within a larger 5-wave move to the downside, so we could be tracking here an ABC structure. Well, I will be tracking this in yellow, and for me, a break above the $41.8 level would be a quite valuable signal. A sustained break above this would be a quite valuable signal that this structure would not see extensions in a larger wave to the downside. Now, the markets are flexible, but this is quite a valuable break of resistance for me. Now, in terms of smaller support and where you could be looking for a stop loss for some continuation to higher prices, I would once again consider this to be something like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 at the very least. If not, if we do not get even further extensions within this as a wave 3, I would probably prefer that. But let's say we would track at least the 50% retracement for this movement to the upside. If you want to be in the safest position possible, where you do not want to risk any money at all, you could theoretically place a stop loss somewhere below this last level of support at the 50% retracement, right? Below $33.6. But keep in mind, a small wick below this last level of support is not invalidation of extensions to higher prices. And once again, we have here a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. I would probably prefer to extend within this wave 3 a little bit higher and then build a wave 4 and a wave 5 to complete the structure. If we want to see some additional indicators, we could take a look at the RSI. We can notice that within the 15-minute time frame, we have some divergences. Within the 30-minute time frame, it would be suggested that this would still be a strong part of the wave 3 at this point. And on the flip side, we would consider that this as a wave C is quite clearly complete, right? Within quite respectable time frames, we can identify valuable divergences in this overall structure, right? And one more thing I can provide beyond this is the next opportunity to look out for. If we manage to build this white structure to the upside, we will have an initial 5-wave structure. This would enable us to look for an internal 1-2 setup. This would be our first confirmation that this structure has bottomed. This would be another accumulation opportunity if it manages to follow through within this white structure. But at this point, we do not have such confirmation. It is your choice if you choose to accumulate within this wave 4 support zone. Ultimately, after we build the wave 5, we may not even extend beyond what we would push within this wave 4. Yeah. Oftentimes within the wave 2, we push into the smaller degrees wave 4 territory. We push into that region, we have structural support, and we extend from that point in a larger wave 3 to the upside. But until we actually get this wave 5, we would not have the confirmation that this structure would likely see the breakout. And for now, these are the levels, this is the trade setup. I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you did, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and if you enjoy our content and want to support us directly, check out our channel membership. And as a thank you for any of these actions, I would like to invite you to sign up to our channel newsletter, where you get access to our monthly top picks, where we identify for you high quality structures. Other than that, let me know what else you would like me to cover, and I'll do my best to do that in the days and weeks ahead. And until then, I hope you have a nice day, and I hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.